The problem statement is itself very easy to understand. But to come up with an optimal solution, you must need to understand a little bit of the mathematics behind it. So let's see what we can do about it. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. First, I will go over the problem statement and we will look at some sample test cases. Going forward, we will start off with a brute force solution and then we are gonna see different graphs to represent the problem. I will then show you how you can come up with an optimal solution and what is the intuition behind it. As usual, we will also do a try run so that you can visually see how all of this is actually working in action. Without further ado, let's get started. First of all, let's quickly make sure that we are understanding the problem statement correctly. In this problem, you are given a binary array. It simply means that your array comprises of only zeros and ones. And you have to tell me the length of the maximum contiguous array such that it has equal number of zeros and ones. For example, I have this first test case with me. Now, if you check out, this is the longest array that is possible, which has equal number of zeros and ones, and its length is 4. So 4 will be the answer for your first test case. Similarly, if you look at your second test case, this time you have more elements. And certainly it could be possible that your maximum array length increases. For this particular test case, if you check out, this is the longest contiguous array, which has 3 ones and 3 zeros. Its length is 6. So 6 will be your answer in the second test case. It is not necessary that all the zeros and ones have to be together. You understand that. And similarly, you have your third test case also. Notice how all the zeros and ones are spread out and clustered together. If you have to find out the longest contiguous array with zeros and ones, you will find them over here. And it is not necessary that there can be only one longest contiguous subarray. It is possible that you can have two longest contiguous subarrays possible, which have the same length and have the same number of zeros and ones. But we are not concerned about which array you are finding. You only have to tell me what is the length of the longest contiguous subarray. So for this last test case also, you can find a maximum length of 4. If you feel that you have understood the problem statement even better now, feel free to first try it out again on your own. Otherwise, let us dive into the solution. Let us say I have this sample array over here. The most naive approach will be that I can take 2 pointers. And then what I'm going to do is, I will start to form all of these windows one by one. Currently, my window length is 2. But if you notice, I only have zeros in this. So this window is not even in consideration. In the next iteration, I will move this pointer and now my window size increases. I now have 1, 1 and 2 zeros. This is also not good. Then I can move ahead. This time I have 3 zeros and 1 ones. Still not good. This way you will keep on moving ahead until you find a window where you have equal number of zeros and ones. Since you did not find anything, what you will do is you will reset your positions and this time you are going to start from the second index. This way you will keep on iterating and find out all of the possible windows where you have equal number of zeros and ones. And whatever is the maximum window length, that will be your answer. Sure, this solution works perfectly and it will give you a correct answer every time. But you might have already noticed this is a brute force solution and it takes up an order of n squared time complexity. Certainly, this is not what we want. We want to improve upon it. To start thinking about a solution, I want you to take a step back and notice how my problem statement looks like. I have these 4 zeros and 2 ones. What you can do is you can try to transform the problem for some easy understanding. What I'm going to do is I am going to transform all of these zeros to -1 and leave all the ones as it is. For now, my array looks like this. What advantage do I get out of this? If you try to think, you have to form a contiguous subarray and there have to be equal number of zeros and ones. If I have now converted all of these zeros to ones, what will be the total sum of your longest contiguous subarray? You know that there are equal number of zeros and ones, so equal number of -1s and 1s. That means the total sum should be 0. And that gives you a very good hint that, okay, maybe I can proceed in this direction. So up till now, I have transformed all of my values. Now, let us try to do our cumulative sums and see what is happening. We will try to figure out the mathematics behind it. Over here, I have plotted a graph that is keeping a track of the cumulative sum. And if you notice what happens at index 0. At index 0, what is my current sum? My current sum is -1. So this is the point I have plotted. If you move ahead at index 1, what is the total now? It is -2. So I have plotted this. If you move ahead at index 2, now you have -1, -1, -1. This will be -3. At the next index, that is 3, you now have 4 -1s. So I get a total of -4. Keep on moving ahead. For the next index, I add a 1. So my sum becomes -3. And then once again, I add a 1. So the sum becomes -2. This is how your graph is looking like. So what is this graph telling me? If you look at all of the points on the y-axis and I try to draw a line, for example this, it is telling me that for only one index, the sum was -4, right? Let us try to look at another line. If I look at this particular line, I see that I have 2 points over here, that is -3 and -3. This simply means that for all of the values between these two indexes, the total sum will be 0 because you found out the same starting point and the ending point. You have equal number of zeros and ones between them, correct? And if you even look at it, between index 3 and 4, you have -1 and a -1. So I can safely say that if I draw a line along the y-axis and if I find any 2 points on it, then the total sum between those indexes will be 0. Now, there are more lines possible. If you check out this particular line, what do you see now? You have -2 here and you have a -2 here. This simply means that between indexes 1 and 5, I will have equal number of zeros and equal number of ones. Only that is how you will have negative values and then positive values again. That is how you ended up at the same point, right? So once again, check what is between index 1 and 5. So between index 1 and 5, I have these 4 values. I have 2 ones and 2 -1s. In my original array, I have 2 zeros and 2 ones. So this gives me some idea. And we can try to explore this solution a little further. Let us take up another array for example. I have all of these values. And as the first step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform all of the zeros to -1s. And now I am going to plot them on a graph. If you notice, what is happening at index 0? At index 0, my sum is -1. At index 2, my sum becomes -2. Now, if you add a 1, the sum will become -1. If you add a -1 again, I will get -2, then -3, again -1, so -4. After that, you have a 1, so -3. Again, you have a 1, so -2. So this is how all of your values are fluctuating. Now you want to find out when do I get the same cumulative sums in my array. So I can try to sketch these lines. Over here, I just have one intersection point, so don't care about it. In this line, you find that, okay, between index 4 and 6, I have the same value. It means I will have same number of -1s and 1s. So this could be one potential solution. So what is between index 4 and 7? I have -1 and 1. So I found out that, okay, this could be one potential solution. Now look at another line. What about this line now? For this particular line, I find several points. This is telling me that between index 1 and 3, the sum remains 0. Between index 3 and 7, the sum remains 0. And also between index 1 and 7, the sum will remain 0. So what did just I found out? I found out an even bigger window. That is between 7 and 1. And if you look at this window in your actual array, how does this window look like? This is the entire window, correct? And if you check out the elements, you have an equal number of zeros and equal number of ones. And similarly, in my transformed array also, I have 3 ones and 3 -1s. That is how the sum eventually became the same, right? -2 and -2. That is the core crux of this problem. You have to identify that while traversing your entire array and finding the cumulative sum, what are the instances when you get the same cumulative sum? You found a -2 here, then again you will find a -2, and then again you find a -2. As soon as you find a sum that you have already encountered, just find out the difference. This is giving you your window length. Now you may ask, okay, what about these other lines? Yes, you will have to check all of these lines also. But all of these lines give you a smaller window. For example, this, you only get indexes 0 and 2. 2 minus 0 is only 2. So this window is very small. That is why we are not considering it. And over here, only 1 point passes, so we are not concerned about it. Just to understand things better, let us consider one more example. This time, everything will be super clear. I have an example array with me. The first step I do is I transform all the zeros to -1s. Now, I'm gonna plot it. So, starting off with the first index, my value is -1. Then I get a 1, so I move up. Then I get a 1 again, so I move up. Now -1, so move down, then 1 and a 1. You keep going ahead, then you get a 1 again, so keep going ahead, and then you get a -1, so you go down. This is how my graph has been plotted. Now is the time that we try to find out the maximum windows that we can find. You won't find any window in this line. Check out this particular line. You find out that it crosses at 3 particular points, at the -1 index, at 1, and at 3. So now, what is your biggest window? This, in fact, is your biggest window, right? Your starting point and the index 3. So you started from over here, and this is the index 3. So this is your largest window possible, where you found equal number of zeros and ones. And what is its length? Its length is 4. So if you try to find out any other window, you won't find a window greater than this. Just try to find out all of these lines. So by sketching this graph, it gives us a very good idea how we can approach this problem. So let us try to actually solve this problem now programmatically. Once again, I have my sample array and I have made my first transformation. That is converting all of the zeros to -1s. Next step is to create a hash map. Notice that I have a hash map over here, and this hash map is gonna store all of the sums and at what positions did I find them. Because that is what we were using in our graph to calculate the length, correct? We needed to remember that, okay, I had found out this sum and this was the first position I found out. So I need to initialize this map somehow. I need to start things somewhere. If you remember, how did we do things when we had a graph? I was having the sum as 0 at an index of -1. The -1 index simply means that I haven't started yet. I haven't considered any index, and at that point, what is my sum? My sum is 0. Similarly, what I'm going to say over here is that the sum is 0 and the position is -1. This is how I'm beginning things. Now is the time that I have my actual cumulative array sum, in which I will be finding all of the cumulative sums, and I'm going to keep a track of all of the indices also. Just notice step by step very carefully, and it will be super simple. I start off with the first index and my sum is -1. So what do I do? My current sum is -1 and look at the index. This index is 0. Can you find this sum in this map? No. So what I'm going to just say is the sum is -1 at the index 0. Correct? This 0 is coming from over here. Now move ahead. -1, and that gives you -2. So now my sum is -2. Can I find this -2 in your map? No. So what I'm going to do is I will write down that I found the sum -2 at the index 1. Now move ahead. I have the value 1. So -2 plus 1, and that gives me -1. This is where things start to get interesting. It says that I found a sum of -1. My first step is check in your map. Did we already find the sum -1 before? This is very similar to our graph, correct? As soon as you found a sum -1, just check, did you find it before? We found it at position 0. So that means I found a window. And to find the length of this window, you will do 2 minus this particular position. So 2 minus 0 equals to 0. And yes, you found a window. So what I can say is my max length so far is only 2. I'm going to keep on updating this value as I traverse my array. Look at the next value now. It is -1 again. So -1, and that gives me a -2. Have I found -2 before? Yes, I found it at position 1. So to get the length of my window, I will do 3 minus 1, and that gives me a 2 again. My max length is already 2, so I don't have to update it. Move ahead now. -2 minus 1, and then I get a 3. Have I found the sum -3 before? No. So I can write down, I found the sum -3 at the position 4. Move ahead. -3 minus 1, -4. Have you found -4 earlier? No. So I will say I found -4 at position 5. This is what I'm writing over here. Go to the next index. -4 plus 1. That gives you a -3. Did you find a -3 earlier? Yes. And where did you find it? You found it at position 4. So do 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 equals to 2. You found one window. But again, you have already found an equivalent window of the same length. So no need to update it. How about the next element now? -3 plus 1. And that gives you a -2. Have we encountered -2 earlier? Yes. I have seen -2 at the first position. And that means I got another window. So 7 minus 1. 7 minus 1 equals to 6. That means I found a window of even bigger length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update my max length and I will put down 6 over here. I have now reached the very end. That means I have completed my iteration and this is the final answer. So what are we doing over here? With the help of this hash map, we are keeping a track. Okay, have we found the sum earlier? This is very similar to the graph. As soon as you find a sum, you check back. Have you found this earlier? Yes. Have you found this earlier? Yes. Have you found this earlier? Yes. So this hash map helps us to implement the same core concept. Just try out an example once again on your own. Create a graph and then create a hash map and you will follow it. It is very, very easy. Based upon all of this, let us now quickly do a dry run of the code. The dry run is actually very, very simple to follow. On the left, you will have the complete code. And on the right, I have this sample array that is passed in as an input parameter to the function. The first step that we do, we create our transformed array and we convert all of our zeros to -1. So now I will get this particular array. In the next step, I will create my hash map now and I put the sentinel value. That means I found the sum 0 at the position -1. So this is how I have initialized all of my things. I have my transformed array, I have my hash map, and I also keep a track of the maximum length that I will find. Now, what you're going to do is you will iterate over your entire array. And while iterating, first of all, you find out the cumulative sum. If your map already contains that cumulative sum, what do you need to do? You need to get whatever the value is and then subtract it from your current index. This will give you the new length because you have found out a window. You update the max length accordingly. If you did not find this particular sum in your hash map, then what do? You simply put this sum along with the position in your map. For example, if you found the sum -4 and you found it at position 5, just add it in your map. This is gonna keep on populating your hash map and it will also keep on updating the max length anytime you found a value that is repeating. So all in all, your loop completes. And when everything ends, you just need to return max length as your answer. Notice that we only do one traversal of the entire array. It means the time complexity of this solution is order of n. And also notice that we're using a hash map. And in the worst case, this hash map could be as large as your input size. So the space complexity of this solution is also order of n. I hope the problem statement and its solution are now pretty much clear to you. And I totally get you. Coming up with such kind of a solution isn't intuitive at the first time. And that is why sometimes you need to attack the problem from a different angle. Try to transform it in a different way. As soon as you transformed all the zeros to -1s, the problem became that, okay, find out the maximum contiguous subarray which has the sum of 0. And that's it. You have another problem to solve. So tell me in the comment section below, what was your pain point? How did you come across it? And what other methods did you find to attack this problem in a different way? Just tell me everything and I would love to discuss all of it with you. As a reminder, if you found this video helpful, please do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This really keeps me motivated and I can make more such videos. Also, a huge shout out to all of the members who support my channel. You guys really keep me going. And as a member, you do get priority reply to your comments and early access to new videos as well. Stay tuned for my upcoming video. Until then, see ya.